Hello to all the partners here present. Good morning. It is a pleasure to greet you. Thank you for your time and your dedication. My name is Mónica Duque, Licencias Online Product Manager, and I accompanied by Alonso Fallas, who is the pre-sales engineer for Kaspersky of Licencias Online, who will be presenting the webinar about advanced solutions from Kaspersky. Now, Alonso, you can go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Monica, and thank you for all the attendees. My name is Alonso Fallas. I'm a pre-sales engineer for Kaspersky Solutions here at Licencias Online. Today, we're having a discussion about the expert part of the portfolio with Kaspersky. As you may know, Kaspersky has a wide variety of products and services, and today we're discussing the expert level of the portfolio. So I'm gonna stop my webcam for the purpose of avoiding the internet connection to affect this. But please let us know if you have any questions in the questions segment of the webinar. Let us know if you have any kind of comment or any questions. Also, to remind you that we can send you an invitation to have a offline meeting if you want to have some additional details about any of the other solutions that we're going to discuss here. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Okay, you have seen this diagram, which basically shows all the products within the Kaspersky portfolio. As you can see, Kaspersky has 3 stages, right? To basically categorize the different products and solutions within their portfolio. Today, we're focusing on the stage 3, which is oriented to targeted attacks, right? So this is the expert level of security with Kaspersky, on which we have more advanced solutions in order to detect targeted solutions or advanced persistent threats, right? So nowadays, attacks are evolving, the cyber criminals are evolving, so that's why we're focusing today on the most advanced solutions from Kaspersky, so you can know basically what's the way to avoid any attack from a advanced persistent threat. So on the stage 3, as you can see, we have some Kaspersky threat intelligence tools, which we're going to discuss in more details later on. We also have the cybersecurity portion training, which is a very specific training for the cybersecurity team within the organization. Also, we're going to be discussing the Kaspersky anti-targeted attack, which is the XDR solution from Kaspersky, and it's called Kata or Kata because how it's spelled. Also, the Kaspersky EDR expert, which is the endpoint detection and response solution from Kaspersky, and also the cybersecurity services, on which we can perform a evaluation of the security posture of an organization. Last but not least, within the stage 3, Kaspersky security awareness, on which we can train basically the entire organization in terms of cybersecurity. So the idea is that not only to have the best in the market solutions in order to protect our network, but also to have a good awareness on how to protect ourselves, right? You know that the end user, sometimes it's a vector that the cyber criminals use very frequently. So the idea is to be protected in that sense as well. Okay, so what do we mean with advanced detection, right? So when we're encountering advanced persistent threats that are very sophisticated, those are targeted, are long-term, and usually extremely well prepared, right? So the idea is to have a tool or a solution that is very sophisticated as well, that it has the capacity to visualize what other tools don't, and also to have the capacity to do that automatically or manually, right? So sometimes we need to do some manual labor because we are trying to detect something specifically relevant to our organization. However, sometimes there's other threats that we don't have a clue that they're going to affect us. And that's why the machine learning models from Kaspersky are very handy in order to detect and respond automatically towards it. One of the main purposes of Kata, or Kaspersky Anti-Targeted Attack Platform, is basically to make things very hard for the cyber criminals, right? So the main purpose of the anti-targeted attack platform is to raise the cost of mounting an attack to the point where such an exercise is no longer practicable or economically viable, right? So that's why we have a very complex solution that is going to give the cyber criminals a very hard time, up to the point where they're just going to say it's not worth it, right? This organization, it's so robust, and it's so time consuming for us to reach a critical resource that we're just going to go for another organization. So that's the whole point. Now, when it comes to the structure of the Kaspersky anti-targeted attack, and just so you know, in a few slides more, we're going to do a demo of the XDR, so you can see how it works, how it detects a threat, and how it stops it immediately. And that's going to be at the very end of the presentation. So as you can see, we have a portion of automated discovery. In a couple of slides, we're going to see exactly how it works. But the idea is that this XDR solution is going to collect the telemetry from different sources, including the network metadata and also the telemetry from the endpoints, right? It has a lot of different capacities, like performing a root cause analysis, also analysis of the network traffic, YARA rules and indicators of compromise. Based on those indicators of compromise or indicators of attack, is gonna go ahead and detect it and stop it right there, right? So besides that, we have a very strong console, which is web-based. And on this console, we can start viewing the timeline of the attack from start to finish, right? It doesn't matter if the attack was stopped, even though it was stopped automatically by Kaspersky, we're going to be able to see the timeline of the attack. And right there, we're going to be able to see the indicators of compromises, the indicators of attack, and also the root cause analysis made by the solution. Also, it has the matrix attack mapping. So the solution is going to detect a specific type of technique that the cyber criminal is doing, right? And let's say it's a lateral movement that it's detecting. So the console is going to show it right there, that based on the matrix attack framework, this attack, it means that it's a lateral movement, and it's going to give us recommendations based on this specific technique. Okay. So as we were saying, Kaspersky anti-targeted attack acts as a extended detection and response solution, right? And this is going to basically protect us against advanced persistent threats. And the idea is that it's very easy to integrate with different solutions, right? So if we have a mail server, we have a sensor or a connector that we can connect it to it, so we can be able to see what's the traffic in the mail server at the mail level. Also, we can do that at the network level through a port mirror, so we can see exactly what the traffic is in our network and have better visibility, right? So Kaspersky anti-targeted attack, it includes two functional blocks, right? So one of them is the anti-targeted attack portion of it, which provides perimeter security for the enterprise infrastructure. And the other portion, sorry about that. And the other portion of it is the EDR. So what do we mean by EDR? It's the endpoint detection and response portion of it. That means that the CATA, or the anti-targeted attack, it can be integrated with the endpoint detection and response solution, right? And when we do that, we have the capacity to detect and respond immediately when the malware comes in. Okay, something very important is how do we receive and process the data on the Kaspersky anti-targeted attack. So we integrate into the local area network through the span port or ER span, and we're going to have the visibility of the metadata from the HTTP, FTP, SMTP, and DNS protocols. We can also connect to a proxy server, so that's good to know. And we can also connect to mail servers via the POP3 and SMTP protocols to receive incoming and outbound traffic for the mail server. It's important to mention also that this solution is fully integrated with the Kaspersky Secure Mail Gateway, or the Kaspersky Secure for Linux. It's compatible with Linux and Windows, so we can have a very wide integrability and visibility of the different workloads, even though if they're in the cloud or on-premise. Okay, this slide right here is very important. I know it's not very easy to understand if you look at it the first time, but you're gonna understand in a few seconds. So the idea is that on the left side, we have the network traffic, the email traffic, and the web traffic, right? So those three components are very important, and we need to keep an eye on all of them, right? So that's why we have different sensors and integrability through APIs that are going to go directly to all the ingested data is going to go to a central node, which has machine learning models in order to detect malicious behavior, basically. So it's not only going to detect based on the antivirus portion of the solution, but also on the machine learning is going to detect any anomaly within the network, right? So if it's a cyber criminal that it's using a signed tool, like, I don't know, like Windows PowerShell or any other tool from Windows, that it's apparently legitimate and it's using the credentials from the user, but it's a malicious cyber criminal who is trying to exfiltrate certain information. This solution is, it has a capacity to detect this and act on it, basically. It also has a sandboxing portion, which is very important. If the central node detects a file that it's potentially malicious, it's going to execute it on a safe environment in order to detect its or determine its behavior, right? So if it's doing consuming a lot of RAM, we're trying to do a lateral movement, basically is going to block it and is going to look back into the workstations in the entire network to see which of the computers has any of the indicators of compromise related to the behavior that it analyzed in the sandbox. Something very important is the fact that it could be integrated with the SIEM. So if you have a CrowdStrike or Sentinel SIEM that you have to extend the visibility of the solution, you can fully integrate it with Kaspersky anti-targeted attack. Okay. What are some of the detection technologies that it uses? As you can see on the left side, we have the automatic detection portion of this technologies. And on the right side, we have the semi-automatic and manual detection technologies that it uses. Why is that? Because sometimes we need both, right? We have the antivirus engine, which is widely awarded worldwide. We also have intrusion detection rules, Kaspersky Private Security Network, Yara analysis and sandbox and machine learning for APKs for Android. And the idea is that all these tools are going to help us when the analyst is not precisely doing anything on the console, right? The analyst or the security officer might be busy with something else, so we need this automatic portion of the tool to basically protect us. On the right side, on the other hand, we have the semi-automatic and manual detection, on which we can do a deep analysis of the data and of the different incidents that the solution is going to find. And based on that, we're going to start doing some root cause analysis. We're going to be doing some correlation with the meter attack framework. And we're going to have some basic tools for digital and forensics investigations. This is very important because if we do have an organization that has a cybersecurity team and they have the Kaspersky anti-targeted attack platform, they're going to be able to do a lot of different things like digital forensic investigations, incident response, and so on. Okay, these are some of the action responses that you can perform with the Kaspersky anti-targeted attack platform. So we can do an isolation of a compromised host, right? We can do that manually from the console. We can delete any suspicious process or suspicious objects. We can even quarantine them. We can execute remote commands in protected endpoints in order to, for example, isolate a specific endpoint that we don't have, we're not close physically to it, but we can do it remotely. We can create automatic rules to prevent the execution based on sandbox detections, right? So What does that mean? It means that the tool or Kaspersky anti-targeted attack, once it detects a suspicious file, is going to execute it and analyze it in the sandbox environment. And based on the findings that it does, is going to execute a automatic rule to basically isolate the workstation that was involved in this malicious software, right? And it could do it for any other workstation that it's affected by that a specific indicator of compromise. It can give you recommendations. It could do even a reversal of malicious actions using the Kaspersky Endpoint Security Remediation Engine. This applies to ransomware. So this is a great tool for ransomware as well. If at any given point it detects a ransomware attack, it's going to stop it immediately. But if at some point that ransomware started encrypting any of the computers or resources, is going to revert that encryption as well. Okay, so that's just one of the advanced tools that we have on the expert level of security with Kaspersky. Now we're going with the Kaspersky Threat Intelligence Portal. But before that, let me go ahead and show you a quick demo of the Kaspersky anti-targeted attack. Okay, let me just start it from the beginning. Right here, this is the Kaspersky Endpoint Security Console, right? This is not the Kaspersky anti-targeted attack yet, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna see it in a few seconds. So as you can see, the Kaspersky anti-targeted attack is part of the suite of components, and this is the actual Kaspersky Security Center. This is the actual console. Right here, we see the workstation, which is connected to the central node that we were mentioning before. Let me just pause it a little bit because the internet, it hasn't fully loaded yet. So we can see the last connection and some other details based on the anti-targeted attack tool. This part right here is very important. Is exactly about what I was mentioning before. Send files to sandbox automatically. This is very important because once it detects something suspicious, it's going to send it to the sandbox for analysis, and based on that analysis, it's going to act on it basically. So we're executing a test malware. It's not an actual malware, but it behaves as if it was one. Now they're going to execute it. Now we're just waiting for the alert to come up since the file was executed, or we attempted to execute it, right? And there it is. So it came up as a Trojan. And there is a warning in regards to it. You can click it in order to do some investigation about the actual file. And right here, we can see some more information about the scan that automatically detected this. We have some more information about what it did. So it's very important to take a look at the logs so we can see exactly what was the activity of the actual file, which has modified the Microsoft Windows firewall configuration in order to bypass the security. Right here, we have the activity tree, which is basically a timeline of the attack from start to finish and all the affected resources. Okay, right here from this button right here, we can create a new prevention rule. And right there, the prevention rule has just been created. So as you can see now, Windows cannot access specified device path, process startup blocked. So based on the prevention rule, now the process cannot even be executed at all, right? So at the very beginning, as you could see, the process it attempted to execute, it got stopped by the kata, and based on the prevention rule that we created, next time it didn't even execute, it didn't even try it. Okay, now when it comes to intelligence or threat intelligence, Kaspersky has a lot of tools that are very convenient for more robust organizations, right? So it's important to remind you the fact that we have 3 levels of security with Kaspersky. Stage 1, which is security foundations, stage 2, which is security optimum, and the one that we're discussing today is security expert, which is the highest level of security that we offer. However, based on the customer needs or the infrastructure that they have, we have solutions at the mid-level with the security optimum, or a more basic approach for maybe organizations that are not very robust. All right. So now when it comes to threat intelligence, we have different tools that are very handy, as I was saying. One of them is the Kaspersky Cyber Trace. And what it does, right, basically it's a platform that it enables the integration of threat intelligence sources with the SIEM solution, right? So if we have a client that is using a SIEM, security information and event management system, if they are running a SIEM, but they want to have more enriched data, we can do that through Kaspersky Cyber Trace. So basically, they can keep their SIEM. We can connect it to our enriched data, and that's going to give them a bigger or more visibility of the new evolving threats. As some of you guys may know, Kaspersky has its own SOC, right? So this SOC is going to be detecting new emerging threats on a daily basis, so we can leverage on that detection that they do on a regular basis in order to have more enriched data with our SIEM. And reconciles the resulting data with the sources and generates its own threat detection alerts. So it's not that it's gonna just be based on the SIEM does itself, but it's gonna combine that with it and it's gonna correlate that with the threat intelligence from Kaspersky. Then we have Kaspersky Threat Lookup, the second solution. And basically what it does, it allows customers to perform deep search for threat indication with highly validated context. So what does that mean? The customers can do like a manual lookup based on a suspicious file, a suspicious software that they found, or suspicious email. They can leverage on the Kaspersky threat intelligence in order to make a more accurate detection. Then Kaspersky Cloud Sandbox. It's an isolated and secure environment where you can run and evaluate the behavior of a suspicious file, right? So it's very convenient. As we were saying, when we suspect or basically we're not sure about a certain file, but we want to make sure without avoiding or our infrastructure. Something very important that we see right there is the takedown service. It's not very common, right? But we might need it at some point. If our organization finds out that there's a duplicated domain or somebody that is trying to impersonate our corporate domain, we can help you to do the analyst, the request for removal of this identified site to prevent further damage. So basically Kaspersky, what it does, it's they prepare all the necessary documentation and the paperwork and sends the deletion request to the local organization. Could be a cert, a registry, etc. And basically the entity that has the necessary rights to close the domain. And finally, the Kaspersky Ask the Analyst service is a service on which we can ask a analyst from the SOC team from Kaspersky about a specific threat or a specific file, any kind of inquiry that we may have. Maybe we need some assistance with a threat hunting process, or we need some hours and they can evaluate our security posture. We can always have this in our, we can always have this option to ask Kaspersky, one of their analysts, and they can help us out. Then the digital footprint intelligence is very important. You know, nowadays there's a lot of attacks that involve the reputation of an organization. There might be some credentials exposed on the deep web, on the dark web. So we can provide this comprehensive service. It's basically a brand protection service on which we can monitor the digital assets of an organizations in the surface, deep and dark web. And we also do an identification of the client network resources. First of all, we determine what's the digital assets that they possess. And then based on that, we go to the deep surface and dark web and try to find if there's any exfiltration of this kind of use of this kind of assets. Some of the threat types that we can protect against are this: network perimeter, dark web related threats like fraud schemes, stolen credit cards, insider activities, maybe a current employee who's trying to sell some digital assets from the organization. Also fake websites, fake social media accounts, which is part of the brand impersonation, and data leakages. So it's a very complete service on which we can protect our organization from this kind of threats. And then some of the advanced solutions that we offer. This is not actually a product, but it's a solution or a service on which we provide cybersecurity training and awareness to the organization. So if the organization has a cybersecurity team and they need to be trained on digital forensics, advanced digital forensics, incident response, malware analysis and reverse engineering or reverse engineering, we can do that. Normally, the training, it takes 40 hours. Our 16-hour workshops, those could be on-site or online, and it's a maximum 15 people and minimum 10. The idea is to be very efficient with the knowledge that is going to be transferred. So that's why we don't do large groups, right? These are some of the themes that are covered in this digital forensics. So as you can see, it goes from the introduction of digital forensics up to forensics in web browsers, window registry, and email analysis, right? On the right side, you can see the actual skills that would be acquired, like building a digital forensics lab, collect and manage digital evidence correctly, find and analyze browser and email history. So it's a very robust training. Okay, right here you can see, take a look at the curriculum for the incident response training. And we also have the Kaspersky Automated Security Awareness Platform. This one is very convenient for us to make sure that the organization knows how to protect the data within our organization. Right here, I would like to show you the actual platform. This is the Kaspersky ASAP, or Automated Security Awareness Platform, right? So this is the main dashboard where we can see some of the phishing emails or the threats and the trainings that people are taking within the organization. We can look at the content, the actual content, on which we can start from a beginning level up to certain themes that are very relevant, or we can look for specific courses right here. Sorry about that. We can look for specific lessons and courses right here, and it has a lot of different trainings that you could take. And something very important is the fact that from the admin point of view, we can start creating the users. We can do it one by one. We can do a CSV file to upload the entire organization. But the important thing is that we can control a lot of things from here. We can make sure that we send an invitation to the training to one or more users. We can follow up the status of their training, if they started it, if they didn't even start it, if they have completed it. So it's very important to understand that you can control what people are doing and where they're standing in terms of the training. And we also have the phishing simulator, on which we can create a campaign. It could be a standard script, or it could be a 404 page not found error message that might get them a little confused. The idea is to be very convincing with these phishing campaigns, right? Because the cyber criminals are doing the same, and we want to make sure that our people are protected and are very aware of how to protect their data. Right here we can test campaign. We can select the template from this list of templates. We can click each one of them to see how it looks like, to see which one looks best for us, for organization. We can even customize it, so we can edit it in order to be more convincing, right? So for instance, we can add our company logo. We can add a bank logo, a local bank, to make sure that people are curious about clicking on it. And once they clicked on it, they're going to be automatically enrolled into a training to avoid this from happening in the future. So for this example, we're just going to click on any of the templates selected. Then save and continue. And we're going to select the participants that we want to send this campaign, this phishing campaign to. We can send it immediately, or we can schedule it to a certain date and time. And we can even do this periodically, right? We can do this any 7 days. every 7 days, sorry. And once we send out the campaign, we're going to start seeing the stats. Right here, it says 1 campaign. It doesn't have much data, right? But once I click on this, I'm going to start viewing data, right? Okay. And that would be the expert portion of the portfolio with Kaspersky. I hope you enjoyed the session, and these are our email addresses. If you would like to have a private session with us or do a demo of a specific solution, or you have a specific scenario and you're wondering if any of the Kaspersky solutions are suitable for this scenario, please just let us know, send us an email, and we'll be happy to arrange a quick call with you guys. Okay, I just saw that you guys have one question. It says, los trainings para usuarios están disponibles en español. He's asking if the trainings are available in Spanish, and they're available in Spanish. If you want, we can go back. We can change the language from here. And we can even change the language of the phishing campaigns, of the trainings. In fact, we have multiple languages that we can select from. So thank you for that question. So if you don't have any further questions, we're going to wrap this up right here. And please let us know if you have any further questions or you need a session with you or your clients. Don't hesitate to send us an email, and we would be happy to help.